I'm a geoholic.
Say, oh shit, man, what's that?
I never heard that.
Never
before.
heard that. Has that always been there?
I guess. It's the demon. Okay. There we go.
Yeah, here we are.
Welcome back, Geoholics, episode 181.
181, believe it or not.
Yes, good to have you back, buddy. I missed you
Hey,
last week.
it is good to be back.
And you've probably experienced a couple different dimensions between now and the last time I spoke to you.
You know, it was up in I was up in the Gorge. It was in a town in basically right in the middle of Washington. And I don't know if you've ever been to a concert at this place, but oh my gosh,
I hear it's incredible.
I mean, I sent you the picture, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it is
Yeah.
unreal. The location, the stage is like just tucked in the middle of this huge gorge, and you got the Columbia River going through, and
Awesome.
unbelievable place to see a show.
And who did you see?
It's called the Dead and Company.
Dead and Company.
Well, basically, what's left of the Grateful Dead. So a whole lot of fun. It was the last show is going to be in San Francisco, I think, next week, or,
Oh, wow.
or maybe it's going on now. But
Sure.
this was like this is their last tour. So me and a couple buddies flew to Seattle, rented an RV, drove out there. It was a whole lot of fun.
We're probably lucky that you're sitting here right now.
I am glad that I am here. Let's just say there were some times where it was a little dicey, had some people falling out, but all in all,
good.
all in all, very good stuff.
Nobody died. That's all that matters.
Nobody died.
All right. So we're going to do things a little bit different. We've got a bunch of things going on with this episode.
We do.
Our guests are in Puerto Rico, and we're going to get them into the conversation here in just a second. But we also have Rex Perry with us. Rex, real quick, say hello.
Hello there.
And if you remember, Rex has been on the show before. I don't remember which episode it was, but Rex has a special interest in talking to our guests this evening because, if you remember right, he is developing an app that is going to help... what is it? Undeveloped, underdeveloped?
Developing countries.
Developing countries.
Yeah.
Digitize like their cadasters and stuff like that. I mean, it's once this thing gets off the ground, it's going to do amazing things. So it's good to have you here this evening as well. Appreciate you taking the time to join us. And you want to tell us about that opening number real quick, Sean?
Yes, that was a band called Disturbed. Everyone's heard this song, Down with the Sickness.
Down with the Sickness.
Yes. Disturbed is an American heavy metal band from Chicago, formed in 1994. The band includes vocalist David Draymond, guitarist, keyboardist Dan Droning, I don't know that guy, bassist John Moyer, and drummer Mike Wengren. With over 17 million records sold worldwide, 6 RIAA certifications for their albums, including 5 platinum for The Sickness, singles from all 8 albums reaching the top 10 of the mainstream rock chart, 2 Grammy Award nominations. Disturbed ranks alongside Slipknot and Godsmack as one of the most successful rock bands of the 21st century.
Yeah, I got to be honest with you, I'm not a huge fan. I don't dislike them. It's just not like on my rotating playlist.
I don't think they're going to have long-term success, but I definitely like the song. It's pretty cool.
Wait a minute. I have 6 boys, and
Oh,
one
boy.
of my 6 boys love that song.
Oh, really?
He played that at full volume
awesome.
Saturday morning to wake everybody up.
So it's bringing back memories for you. That's great. Here we are in the Get Kids Into Survey studio this week.
We are.
Lots of exciting things happening with Get Kids Into Survey. Of course, if you don't know, that's Elaine Ball and her team's effort, and she is just making such a huge impact that you just got to check them out. GetKidsIntoSurvey.com. Follow on all social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. Everywhere they have a platform, you got to follow them because they're doing some amazing things for promoting the survey profession.
That is correct. They are.
Good. Is that a problem?
No. It's not a problem.
Oh, good. Okay. I'm just making sure. And other than that, Sean, are you prepared for the Airworks somewhat random trivia?
I am.
Good.
This week, I chose a little trivia nugget about summer. We're in Phoenix. It is
summer.
I can't describe how hot it is right now, so just picked a couple of quick things. As soon as it pops up on my computer, I can be able to tell you. Currently, I think we're on the record of 110-degree days. So based on that. I picked a couple of things. Did you know that the Eiffel Tower gains about 6 inches in height during the warmer summer months?
Whoa, that's interesting.
Yeah.
No comment.
July is the month where they say it's the deadliest or the worst time to go to the hospital, because July is the month where the seasoned medical residents leave the hospital and the new ones come in. So they say death rates increase by 8 to 24% in July.
So what does it say for my cousin whose husband just had brain surgery today?
Oh, boy.
Probably shouldn't
Hang in
choose
there.
July as the month to do that.
Thank God it came out okay.
You're right. You know, the term dog days of summer has actually nothing to do with an animal. It's actually because the dog is part of the star from Sirius, who appears in July. So, I mean, not your fuzzy animal, but the stars. And then lastly, summer is hot dog season. And believe it or not, they estimate that in America they eat 20 billion hot dogs from Memorial Day to Labor Day. And that equates to 70 hot dogs per person per year.
That's too much.
I was going to say, I am probably single-handedly responsible for about 1,000 hot dogs. I could eat hot dogs every day, I swear.
I mean, but 70, that means you're eating
70
more than one a week.
For a year?
That's 70 per person per year.
I don't know. I honestly, as much as I like hot dogs.
Every American is responsible for 70, and apparently you eat most of them in the summer.
Yeah. No, I love hot dogs, but I don't eat 70 a year. There's no way. No way. Is that all you got?
That's all I got.
Well, that's good. Good stuff. My Airworks random trivia quote this evening is the shortest one I could possibly find about Puerto Rico, right?
Okay.
And you're going to love this. Here's the quote. In Puerto Rico, we dance to everything.
Our guests are shaking their head.
Yeah. And that, of course, is our good friend, Bad Bunny.
Yes. Interesting.
Yeah, little Bad Bunny there.
Little Bad Bunny quote.
That's the first time we've ever mentioned Bad Bunny on the show. I can
Put that
assure you
on
of
the
that.
list.
That's awesome. All right, let's get our guests in here this evening. We have Ruth and Ruben, and I'm going to let them do some self-introductions here real quick. Ruth, I'm going to start with you. If you go first, just real quick, your name and who you work for, yourself in this case. And just go ahead. Yep.
Like you said, my name is Ruth, and I do work for myself. I established my own firm in 2019, and since then we've been given professional service in Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Oh, okay. And we also have Ruben. Ruben, go ahead.
Yep. I've been. My name is Ruben, like you said. Something about myself. I was born in July, actually. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Good doctor.
30 years and around 5 days ago. Yep.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy
Thank
birthday.
you. Thank you. I don't know what that means for me, about what you said about the doctors, not the new doctors coming in. But,
You're alive.
I mean, it went well. Yeah, I mean, I'm alive, so.
Yeah, it must have worked. And it's the medical students that are coming in, so you just got to worry about the, not the big stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been working with Ruth since 2019. That's the year we met, actually.
Okay.
Since we met, I discovered surveying, and I've been working with her ever since. And I think it was the start of last year, I actually decided that I was going to start studying, working towards my degree in surveying, hopefully in the future to become a licensed surveyor.
And you guys recently created a little surveyor, correct?
Yeah, she's 1 year old.
1 year.
Congratulations.
Nice.
Hopefully she will become a surveyor.
Yeah.
But anything that she chooses, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
We'll support her.
As long as she's not an architect.
No.
Oh, we're kidding,
So,
obviously.
so I do have some interesting facts about Puerto Rico before we get into the meat of this.
Okay.
So real quick, this is the Trimble Pro Point segment of the show.
Okay.
Where recently we've had couple different international surveyors on. So rather than using this as an icebreaker, I've used it as an opportunity to present some facts, little known facts, about these different countries.
Okay.
So Puerto Rico is not a state, but a commonwealth within the United States.
That's correct.
All Puerto Rican residents receive birthright citizenship of the USA.
Mm-hmm.
Puerto Rico is the world's oldest colony.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Interesting. Birth of the New World is a depiction of Christopher Columbus at the helm of his ship and is America's tallest statue. The statue is made of bronze and is 360 feet tall, making it more than 200 feet taller than the Statue of Liberty.
Wow, interesting. Okay.
And last but not least, Islanders use the imperial as well as the metric system.
So both?
Both.
Wow.
How
Yeah.
confusing is that, guys?
Can you imagine what that does to our job?
Yeah.
Right.
So, what, like
It's-
for surveying, are you surveying in imperial or metric or both?
My,
In the metric system, we do our job in the metric system,
Yeah.
but when you're going to explain it to your client, then you'll have to
yeah,
talk
we
in
usually have to
inches and
convert.
feet.
Yeah, because when you're talking with the clients, it's even if it's an engineer or an architect, they normally understand you better in feet, inches. So
Yep. And so you guys run this business together, correct? Do you have other employees, or is it just the two of you?
yeah, we're eight people at the office, including us two.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good. And what is it like? Being a couple as a team running a survey business. Talk about the pros and cons of that arrangement.
Well, I can say I think the biggest con is making sure that you separate your work-related conversations from your family time.
Yeah.
That's gotta
Because
be hard.
since you go home with your coworker,
Yeah.
tends
Or
you
your
tend
boss.
to. In your
Yeah.
case. Sometimes we're eating dinner or watching a movie, and I'm like, "Did you make this phone call? Did you receive this email?
Oh, yeah.
What are we gonna do with this mistake that one of our technicians did?" And that is something that you need to focus on and try to not do it.
Yeah, it's always hard at first. It comes with practice, I guess.
Mhm.
Because for the first year, I'd say we started in June 2019, and for that first year, it was that you wouldn't see that separation, especially because we started from our own home.
Mhm.
We started working at home, so it was hard to see that separation between personal life and work life. After that year, we said like we have to put a line, set a boundary.
And I think the biggest pro to be working with my spouse is that I know that he is as committed as I am to
Mhm.
perform and to do a good job.
Yep.
And that security that I have, knowing that if I'm absent and he's in charge,
Mhm.
he'll do a good job. That is something that you won't have when you do not work with somebody that you trust 100%.
Yeah, it's tough
Yeah.
to find.
Well, and he doesn't want to come home to an upset boss.
That's right.
No, I do not. No, I
how
try
long
to do my
ago-
job.
How long ago
Right.
did you guys start the company?
2019, so
Okay.
4 years.
Yeah, it's about 4 years.
And then how you mentioned you have some technicians. How big is the group now?
It's the two of
It's-
us and 6 more.
Yeah. So, but we have one is an administrative assistant. So, out of the 8 that are in the office, 7 of us are actually
But one of them, he's a draftman.
Oh yeah, one is a draft.
But he's so good that
He sometimes goes out to the
Uh-huh.
field and helps us. And
Nice.
Yeah.
as a small firm, yeah, it's all hands on deck all the time.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a very common
everybody
phrase
has to
around
do
the
a
office.
little bit of everything.
Yep.
We don't have technicians that they only stay at the office or that they only go to the field. They all have to learn
Oh.
to draw and to go to the field and to do some administrative tasks too.
we try to teach all of them. Well, that's kind of the philosophy. We try to teach them all how to talk with the clients, how to become a surveyor.
A true surveyor.
Let me
yes.
ask you some historical questions about Puerto Rico.
Uh-oh.
Are you guys describe digitized? Are you guys digitized? Are a lot of the findings, your landmarks, your longitude, latitudes, are those in the space someplace, or is it all still on paper? Describe that for us.
When you say the digitize, do you mean the plats?
Yeah,
do
the
you
plats. Are they accessible via the internet, or a lot of countries are still, to access some of the surveys, you still have to go to the repository and check them out on paper. Are you guys digitized there?
Well, since 2015, they passed a law that says that all new plats need to be presented and digitized, right?
Okay.
But everything before that, you need to go
To the property registry or
Yes.
whatever.
in
repository.
person
Yep.
to go search for it.
Is that
Right now, there's a project. I'm sorry to right now there's a project where they hire a company that is digitizing all those old plats.
Oh,
Yeah.
excellent.
That's why we're having issues when we need to do a boundary survey, and you go to the property registry and they say, "Oh, we don't have it. They took it to digitize, and we don't know when it's gonna be react."
Interesting.
Yeah.
And in how many counties, how many municipalities are on the island there? Of
78.
78 cities
I
or
Googled
municipalities.
that, and can you explain
Wow.
that? Can you explain why? Is
We can
that? 'Cause
try.
Well,
those are 78 different organizations with different records. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
But-
the reason why that happened is because since our topography is so difficult, first we were part of Spain before the U.S. invited us in 1898. So when we were part of Spain, everywhere where they were able to establish like a small community, because of the topography and the lack of roads, they established like a town there.
Yep.
So once people feel identified with that town, then
Yeah.
it became a municipality.
Yep.
The last time that a municipality was created was in the 60s or 70s, so
Yeah.
not that long ago.
It's not that long.
But that was for political reasons.
Yeah. The Spaniards, when they, like Ruth said, they got to a space where they said, this is a space good enough to establish a town. So they
built a
They
plaza.
built the plaza. They built the church. They built the school, and whether I forget what it's called in Spanish, alcaldía.
Yeah,
The mayor's
municipality
office.
Yeah.
Yes.
The mayor's office.
Mhm.
Now,
And that's how
Yeah.
it became a town.
has anybody ever discussed combining, or does that create red tape for you guys when you try to do a survey? Does that cause difficulty, barriers, or no?
What?
When he means red tapes, he means like
Yeah.
bureaucracy.
Hurdles?
You mean when there's bureaucracy
Yeah.
in the offices?
Sometimes, not always.
Yeah,
Not
that's-
really, because the property registry is divided by regions.
Okay.
There aren't 78 property registry offices.
Okay.
There
So-
are not.
Okay, that was.
That's
where
at
we're
least it's not. So it's I forget how many regions there are,
I think
but there aren't 78 property registry offices. So at least it's not that divided. Everything's not that divided. So
And can anybody hold title, gringos? If they come
Yeah.
to buy land or property, they get to hold title, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Titles are more simple here than in the U.S. I remember when I used to work in Texas, somebody could own the underground rights,
Yes.
another person could own the land, and then another person could own the building. But here you do not have those underground rights. So if you own the property,
Surface rights only.
Surface rights.
yeah, they don't have.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
How
If you own this property, you own all the rights down and up.
Okay. On the
So
island.
it's more simple.
How are properties described there? Is there what's the basis for the cadastre? Is it a sectionalized land thing? Is it a meets and bounds combination?
No, it's
of the
meets
two?
and bounds.
Meets and bounds.
Meets and
okay.
bounds.
It's meets and bounds. It's meets and bounds, but the property description
Mhm.
in the deeds are not written by surveyors.
Yeah.
9 out of 10 are written by the attorneys.
Yeah.
So that means
Who think they're
that-
surveyors? Of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah, they're smart enough.
that means that most property descriptions goes like this: a lot of land of 1 acre, just to say a unit that you know that you're familiar with, but because mostly here it's cuerdas, it's almost an acre.
Yeah.
We'll say a lot of land of 1 acre, adjoining by the north, in the north side with
Kent.
Kevin, with Kent, in the south side with
With-
Ruben, in the east side with
With
Ruth,
Sean or with
Good.
and
Yep,
in
that's
the
it.
west side
That's
with
horrible.
Maria.
Yep, that's it.
That's it.
That's horrible.
Okay,
That's
now
the
this-
proper
Sometimes-
This is important, guys. Everybody make note of this.
Sometimes the good ones, they sometimes have distances, but they not bearing. They don't have bearings. They say on the north side in a distance of 20 meters with Kent. On the east side, on the south side, in the distance of 20 meters with Ruben.
Well,
That's
most
it.
of them do
How
not
do you,
do
so how do you
that.
survey that?
Yeah.
How do you survey that?
Right?
Yeah.
That's why we should charge more.
We
Well,
wish.
of course we need the plat. That first plat that created that law.
Yeah.
But sometimes it didn't even exist.
Yeah.
And if it did exist, you have to see who has it.
Yeah. 'Cause-
Sometimes you can't find it.
Because adding to that point, still to this day, I believe, right? You're not obligated when you go to register a title or a deed on the property registry. The lawyer is not obligated to take the plat and register the plat.
Oh.
And the property registry is not obligated to file it either.
Yeah.
So part of the work that I'm trying to do is to try to help developing countries understand that if they can get to some stabilized situation where these records are public, they're accurate and digitized, the whole country will stabilize. Because now you know who owns what and who's paying the property taxes. So that leads me to the next question is, how do your property taxes work if your legal descriptions are so vague? How do they
Because
collect
the
property tax?
government, they want to charge the property tax, and they do not care if they charge it to Ruben or Ruth.
Yeah.
They just want to charge it.
So they
So
don't care
let's
about
say that-
accuracy.
Exactly. So
No.
if you go online and you go to our digital cadastre, you're gonna see that most property lines shown in that cadastre are not accurate.
They're not
They are not-
survey lines.
No.
They're
They-
not. It's
It's like,
They
like
are
a
not
GIS
based
type thing,
on-
right? Like GIS.
It's a
get it
GIS,
surveyed,
but
right.
it's
Yeah.
not based on
Not good.
it's not based on surveys
Right.
performed by
No.
surveyors. Not most of them, at least.
Some of them are, because in the newer cases, if I'm gonna buy Ruth's property, for example, I get it surveyed. I buy the property, get it surveyed, and I go to the cadastre and present the plat, so that they can, for example, if when I get it surveyed, the cadastre said that I own an acre, but when I get it surveyed, I own half an acre actually. It's half an acre. So I go to the cadastre. This is just to set an example. I just go to the cadastre so that I pay less.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the other way around, but
Sure.
you get the idea.
But that's for the new transactions.
Yeah.
Somebody who has never taken the property to the tax agency, then the tax agency, they do not know who owns that land or where the property line is, but they're gonna charge it to whoever is, whoever they can find. So
That-
that's why they do not care if the property line between us is correct.
Mm.
They're gonna charge it.
But they're working. They're actually
They're trying
we're,
to do.
they're trying to figure out the correct person to charge
Assess.
because right now there's a project where the cadaster is communicating with all the other offices for the energy power authority and the water authorities, and they're trying to figure out who's actually paying for the water, who's paying for the electricity, and who's paying for that property. So they're going to send them a letter and say, "Oh, you owe this amount of money."
Yeah,
That's a new project that's
It's like an
happening.
Trying to find
Yeah,
money.
It's an
Yeah.
assessment. Yeah.
and this is the essence of surveying, is to be able to have maps and accurate records of the dimensions and who holds title,
Yeah.
and are they paying their property taxes, because that goes to roads and bridges and police and the government. Property tax is the most stable form of revenue collection, and most developing countries don't have it.
Yep.
And therefore the surveyors are a hidden key to the solution of the problem, but nobody's talking about it except you, Alex. You got it. Let's get the
I didn't know. Did you know that, Kent? That your profession is the key.
It's
to
the key.
collecting taxes.
Ultimately, yes.
Property taxes.
And in these developing countries where a surveyor is badly needed, somebody's got to pay for that surveyor's time.
Yeah.
Well,
That's the thing.
we jumped right into some of this. I
Yeah.
want to, if you guys mind, I want to take a little bit of a step back, and can you tell me, how did the company start? What's the name? How did you decide to start a survey company? And tell me a little bit about, or tell us a little bit about the evolution.
Yeah.
And then when did you hook up with this Yahoo beside you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, he was my inspiration.
Oh,
No,
nice, okay.
she's too modest. No, she's.
Well, I had been working in surveying for a couple of years, and I was a project manager at the firm, at the surveying firm, and I noticed how the shortage of surveyors was affecting the infrastructure development in Puerto Rico. And also I saw that there was a need for surveyors who would perform a great job and comply with geospatial standards and do an excellent job. So when I met him, he said, "Hey, you have the potential to establish your own firm." And I took a leap of faith.
She was
Wait,
a
on
project
him or the
manager.
company, or both?
Leap of faith with him.
Yeah, both.
Both. You can say both, right? Right. No, but she's being too modest as always. She was a project manager. If you're not going to tell it right, then I mean,
Go ahead, Ruben.
Come on, Ruben.
I'm going to tell it. I'm going to tell it like it is. She was a project manager at a survey firm, and basically, she was running the whole surveying side of the company. Because the company was owned by an engineer who was an engineer and also a surveyor. So, she was basically doing the job of 4 people. And so I told her, like she said, you're seeing this need of infrastructure development. Like, why not just, if you're doing it, why not do it for yourself? Why not do it for your own time, right? And that's what I just kept telling her, and she just said, like, okay, I'm gonna do it, and we just started. I told her, like, I'm gonna help you with it. At that time, I was working with my father. He owns a clinical laboratory. I was actually studying. My university side of things. My university career I changed university like 2 times, 3 if you count where I'm studying right now. I started studying biology because I thought I was going to be a doctor. Then I changed. After 3 years, I said that, no, this isn't for me. So my father kind of talked with me and said, "Oh, I own a business. Why don't you come work with me and study medical technology, right?" So I gave that a chance. Studied about 2.5 years of that. I just was honest to him, and I just told him, like, I can't do that. I can't do it. I don't love it. I'm not going to do something that I don't love, because I'm not the type of person to work 8 hours and just surrounded by 4 walls. I'd go crazy. And I can't do the same thing every day either. I just go crazy. She always say that I have undiagnosed ADHD, which I
good.
might. I mean,
Ditto.
I might.
Actually, very
so.
well diagnosed. Now, right?
So, I just at that moment, she was thinking of changing work, right? Work life. I was like, well, I need to change as well. We talked a lot about what surveying is, because before I met her, I had never actually even heard about surveying, as most people, right? So she started talking to me about surveying. I was like, I like that. It's kind of interesting, right? If you decide to start a company, I actually told her, why don't you bring me with you to one of your jobs? And I went, and I liked it, and I told like, let's just do this. I'm going to help you with everything I can. Learn everything I can. Let's do this. Because since my father owned the company, I always like to, say that I brought a little bit to the table, right? So I knew a little bit about how to manage finances and how to work with the office administration side of things. So I tried to help her with that. But really, she did everything. I mean,
when I was gonna register the corporation, I asked a couple of colleagues, like, how can I choose a name? And how do you choose the corporation name?
yeah.
And they say, Ruth, you need to use your name. Because if you don't use your name, nobody's gonna hire you. The only reason why they will hire you is because you're Ruth.
Yeah.
Because you have a reputation that you do a good job. So that's why I use my whole name.
What's the full name of the company? What is the full name?
Oh, it's very long.
Pretty long name.
Oh my!
It's Ruth Trujillo-Rodriguez, Professional Land Surveyors, PSC.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
So Ruth,
Once I have my clients like very well established, I'm gonna change the name.
I do want to put the spotlight on you for a little bit longer, Ruth. First of all, we know that there are not a lot of females in the survey profession, let alone females that own survey companies. You're in a very small minority of folks that are doing that. Talk about that just a little bit. I mean, that's a big thing. It's a big thing. It's a big thing for a female to become a professional surveyor and to own their own business. I mean, that takes a lot of courage.
And
Yes, it
congratulations, by the way. That's really awesome.
Thank you. And like we said, we established the firm in 2019, and if you remember, the pandemic started early 2020.
Yep.
Perfect
So-
timing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you're surveying, you're distancing. So
You're essential.
But here
You're
in Puerto
essential.
Rico,
Yeah.
they said nobody's gonna go
They
out.
closed everything.
Oh, my.
It was for how many months? Like 6 months or something? It was longer than in the States.
Yeah.
So it was very scary
Sure.
because I started the company with like $400 in my bank account. And I needed to find new clients. I didn't steal any clients from my former employer, you
Yeah.
know. I needed to build my new base of clients. So when everything was shut down for so many months, we were like, what are we gonna do? But once they allowed us to go back to work again, it was working hard 24/7, and once you do a good job, that person's gonna refer you to another and to another.
Yep.
And at first, all the boundary surveys that we did were neighbors arguing about the boundary,
Yeah.
conflicts
Boundaries disputes.
between individuals.
Yep.
But right now, most of our clients are engineers, architects, the government, and this year we sign a contract with the Corps of Engineers.
Oh, nice.
That's huge.
Yeah, that's
So
good.
we're very happy to be one of the top firms in Puerto Rico.
That was a goal that since she started, because actually where she was working, she had that experience and she loved it.
Yeah.
So when she started her company, she said, sooner or later they're gonna call and they're gonna choose us.
The first time that I answered a solicitation, I was like, I'm just gonna answer it so they'll know that I'm here, that I exist.
Yep.
But then everything kept,
snowballing, basically.
Yeah.
Sure.
And they
Yep.
chose us.
Did she
Out
say-
of 3 firms or 5? I don't remember.
Out of, it was like 6, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you say Army Corps of Engineers?
Army Corps.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah,
a
that's huge.
major
Yeah,
accomplishment.
massive.
That is great.
I know.
Ruben, I think you mentioned in your bio, I mean, obviously Puerto Rico is a beautiful place to live. The weather is like perfect all year long.
Gorgeous.
Yep. But you have hurricanes,
Yeah.
right?
Unfortunately.
And
It can't all be perfect. I mean,
I think you mentioned that you guys have done like, I don't know, maybe 300 or 400 house surveys after the hurricane, the
Yeah.
latest hurricane.
yeah. I did a over the top count. Is like 350 or something. It's still an ongoing contract. That we had the honor and the blessing to be chosen as one of the firms that we've done since Hurricane Maria. So many houses were destroyed, and there's still, you can check on the, was it Noah, right? They flew over the island, and you could see so many houses with the blue tops, the
Oh yeah, the tarps.
the blue tarps, and a lot of those houses, people applied to government funding for help to rebuild their houses, and so we've been working with engineering firms and contractors to provide the survey aspect. And
The pre-construction survey for the engineers and the architects to design the new houses.
Oh,
And we've
wow.
also done some stakeouts for the new houses as well.
And
So
For
it's
the
been really
Department of
rewarding.
Housing.
Yeah, and when you do that, you upload it digitally, so it's helping create this digital. No.
No, because
No?
they are not boundary surveys.
You're opening a
They
can
are-
of worms.
yeah.
You're opening
They
a
are
can of worms.
Back
as
to
built
the
and
issue.
topographic surveys.
Oh, you're
And I'm
not
going to
doing-
explain you why.
Okay.
Yeah.
In Puerto Rico, all land is owned by somebody.
Yeah.
It's not, you know how some developing countries, they go and they occupy a land and now it's their land because it was nobody's land. You don't have that here. Every single house that you see, the land is owned by somebody. It's usually a family farm. The first owner was her grandparents. And the whole family kept building houses in that farm, and now there's like 10, 12 houses in the same farm. You see?
But it's never
with
been
no individual boundaries. With no.
Exactly. It has
Oh.
never been subdivided.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
But the land is owned by somebody, by a family.
And they
So
all
if-
get
if
together
let's say
and
that-
they all pay the property taxes
They do.
also.
Let's say one of those houses was destroyed by the hurricane. They apply for funding. We're gonna do an as-built and topographic survey of that house because they're gonna rebuild. They're gonna build the new house in the same spot.
But not the
But I
whole-
cannot perform a boundary survey because the farm may be 50 acres.
Yep.
See, they still don't have a title for their lot.
And that 50 acres may have a survey, and it may not. Is that what you're saying? It may.
Exactly.
See, this
Yes.
is the issue. This is why we need surveyors all over the world to nail this down. Because, by the way, without knowing those boundaries, you don't know how many acres or hectares. You don't know how many dollars per hectare you owe. How can you assess property taxes
Yep.
if you don't
It's a
know
guess.
what your boundary?
It's a guess.
Yeah, so this is the essential goal of the smartphone app that I'm developing, is to use a very rough longitude latitude GPS, Google Maps basically from your phone to get a marker, to get a starting point, and then just start doing rough data entry of who owns it, birth certificates, identity, and start uploading this information so that people can get stability in
Right.
financing. How can you finance something when you don't know what the boundary is?
It's a great question.
10-year security.
Yeah. And how do you
Security. She nailed it.
how do you insure it for future hurricanes if you don't know exactly where the boundaries are?
Mhm.
So insurance, banking, title insurance, survey, engineering, architecture, everything is tied, and the surveyors are the first step. They are. That's why you're so
Hey,
important.
you're preaching to the choir, buddy.
I know. We got to
Preach
get
to
the
the
word
choir.
out. We have got to get the word out.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, what are how old are like some of the oldest surveyors? Like, what's the oldest survey marker you've found?
Yeah, you guys got to go back to 18 something or more.
Well, I think the oldest monument that we have seen was in El Yunque National Forest.
Oh yeah.
I think it was more than 100 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
That monument. It
Yeah.
didn't have the name of the surveyor who built it, but I think that's the oldest
And
monument
people
that
don't
I've
understand
seen.
these surveys are part of the history, and they're important
Yeah.
part. I was a title officer in Utah County while I went to BYU, and I would go down to the county courthouse, and they had these huge abstract books from the 1800s, and we would open them up, and they had chains and links
Yep.
and rods.
Yep.
Probably very few people know what this is.
That's how they surveyed originally.
And they said,
yeah.
and the starting point was this boulder next to the river.
Yep.
That was the monument.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yes.
guys,
Yep.
this is crazy. And now we have this technology in these little tiny phones where you can pick up a longitude and latitude that's relatively accurate.
Yep. Rex, I think we need to make you an honorary surveyor.
Yes,
help.
right?
I want to help.
Sounds
We want to
like
make
it.
this happen.
It's funny.
All right, I want to circle back.
Go.
Okay, so awesome stuff. Got the company started, and then, the thing happens. You get the magic contract that you've been waiting for. Now, let me guess. It's you and Ruben, and you got way more work than you need than you can possibly do. Talk about how you acquire people, how you train. I mean, one big common theme on this show is getting people interested in the business, the lack of surveyors to hire, and how that process goes. Talk a little bit about how you've been successful in building a team and some of the struggles that go along with it.
Most of them are students,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Tell them how we get them in love in surveying, how some of them were studying
Oh,
something
I'm
on
dying.
Yeah,
to
we
know.
actually, the most recent case, he was an intern. He, as part of a school program, he was in his last year, 12th grade, right?
in high school.
In high school.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
the second semester of high school, they set up an internship program where they go and work in office work. It's mostly supposed to be office work, right? So we applied, and they told us, yeah, we're going to send you a student. They sent us 2 students. They interviewed them all. One of them, the one that we chose, he wanted to be a history teacher, and he wanted to also study, I think it was archaeology or something like that. And I told him, you're gonna fall in love with surveying.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
As soon
one
as
of
he
those
started,
professions that's close,
It's
right?
kind of
Yeah.
like archaeology. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
You're
The
digging up
first week
history.
we took him to the National Archives
yeah,
Oh, cool.
to go look for a plat.
yeah,
And
and
he was
That's
amazed.
genius.
that was around
Yeah.
the time where we were doing that survey on Culebra, and that's one of the. I think it's the oldest plat we've seen.
It was from
1800s.
1887.
1887.
guys.
A plat of the whole how Culebra Island, the whole island was subdivided for the first time and it's an amazing plat, and it's still very accurate to this day,
Yeah.
actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he changed his idea of
Yeah.
what he wanted to become.
He went to the field one time, and when he came by, he was like, I want to study surveying.
That's awesome.
He's already enrolled.
He's
Same thing happened
enrolled.
with 2 other technicians. One of them was studying to become an engineer, a civil engineer.
Yeah.
And when he started working with us, he completely fell in love with surveying, and he's almost gonna graduate from
Yeah.
surveying.
He's on his last trimester now, and he's gonna graduate soon. Yeah.
And the other one was studying electrical engineer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, Sean
And he
probably won't
changed
admit
too.
it, but if he had to do it all over again, he'd probably be a land surveyor.
I mean, it is an exciting career.
Well, you're out in the beautiful. You get to go out.
It
in the
is.
Go anywhere. You go
know,
anywhere in the
and you
world.
go- yeah,
Yeah.
you don't have to.
I mean, hey,
Be in an office.
geotech engineers can get outside too, guys. Just throw that out there.
There's some parallels, no doubt about it. So, do you guys struggle with the shortage, though? Is it hard to find
Oh.
good people?
It is. The struggle, it's the same everywhere, and this is something we talked about in Canada. It's the same. It's the same everywhere. There's a shortage of surveying, and not only surveying. Every single career they're needing more people, and for some reason they're not finding enough people, right? But I guess we've been lucky in the sense that we've found really, really good people that work with us that understand how we work, and they really want to learn how to survey and how to become a surveyor, because it's not the same. It's not working surveying and wanting to become a surveyor. Sometimes it's not the same. It doesn't all. Sometimes it doesn't go hand in hand. It should, but sometimes it's just in there for it's just 9 to 5, and it's just go through the motions, right? You're not necessarily interested in becoming a surveyor, but that's what we try to
convince them that they can change the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Every longitude and latitude, every monument becomes a marker that can be passed on for generations. And I have a quick question. Is there an association of surveyors in Puerto Rico? Do you have business associations? And do you gather?
There are two associations.
There are two.
Yeah.
There are two, yes, because by law you need to be part of the professional college and engineers of land. And I'm sorry, by law you need to be a member of the Professional College of Engineers and Land Surveyors of Puerto Rico, because they are the ones that they have a tribunal. They are in charge of making sure that people do not perform engineer or land surveying illegally.
Gotcha.
Without license.
Without a license.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So that one's, if you want to be a professional land surveyor, you need to be a member of the professional college.
Yeah.
And there's also a voluntary association, which is called the Association of Land Surveyors in Puerto Rico. And sometimes, they share a common goal. Sometimes they don't. That's why they both exist.
Yeah.
We're members of all of them.
Yeah. I'm not a member of the college, since you can only become a member. She's a board member of the Institute of Land Surveyors, which is the body that the association inside of the College of Engineers and Surveyors that represents surveying. I'm a member of a board member for the Association of Land Surveyors, but since I'm not a LSIT or a PS, I can't become a member of the College of Engineers and Surveyors. So I am a member, like I said, of the Association of Land Surveyors, a board member, and the Association of Land Surveyors is also trying to more and more involve businesses, the business side, represent the industry.
Do they have title insurance? Because when I was a title officer, we involved surveyors a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Because when there was a legal dispute, the title insurance. Tell me about title insurance. Do they have title insurance there on the island?
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
So
And are they associated?
Yeah, you do Alta surveys?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we do.
Okay,
That's
very
interesting.
And so, see, when you guys talk about funding, because it's all about the money, guys, right? Let's be honest. The title insurance industry, I used to be a title officer, they've got deep pockets. And if they understood that by supporting the development of the surveying industry and doing it island-wide, it would help bring more business to them, everybody wins. There's no losers when we start focusing down on these boundaries. Nobody loses.
Yep.
And it all gets cleaned up and cleared up. The government wins. They collect more property taxes. Everybody wins. Everybody.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we got to do it.
I agree. So tell me, is land surveying, would you consider it a respected profession in Puerto Rico?
That's a bit
It's
of
a trick question.
That's a trick question. No.
Because by law, we are
I'm a
in the
better
same
answer.
standing as engineers and architects.
Yeah.
But even our colleagues, they do not, most of them, or some of them, do not see it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know.
Same issues all over the country.
Yeah.
Same
And
issues.
There's got to be a way to bring this to the forefront. People understand how important this industry is. It's got to.
Yeah.
Got
To become a land surveyor in Puerto Rico, just so you have a perspective,
Yeah.
Sure.
you have to have a bachelor degree in land surveying.
Okay.
Yeah, that was one of our questions.
And then you have to
is there a
take-
program that offers a bachelor's degree in land surveying in Puerto Rico?
Yeah, you have two universities. There's a private university, which is the one where I graduated, Polytechnic University of Puerto Rico, and then the public university in the
state university.
the state university in Mayagüez. It's in the west coast of the island.
So in
Yeah.
Ruben's
So you have
case,
two options.
Yeah, that's awesome. But in Ruben's case, what will it take for you to become a licensed surveyor?
I have to finish my bachelor's degree. After I finish my bachelor's degree, I can take the LSIT, the NCWS LSIT FS exam, right? Get my LSIT. After that, I have to certify 2 years of working under a license, the direct supervision of a licensed surveyor.
I think you got that taken care of.
Well, I
Yeah.
smell a conflict of interest here, guys. I'm
But the thing is, I can't certify it retroactive. I think that's how it's said.
Okay.
So it's the 2 years start when I pass my FS.
Wait, not when you pass it, when you registered with the state.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. After I certify those, I can take the PS exam right after I take the FS, but after I pass the FS exam. But even if I pass it, I still have to wait those 2 years in order to get my professional license. So
And then you become a professional surveyor, and
Yep.
you have to pay your fees every year to be part of the college.
Which is amazing.
So it's
that-
not easy to become a surveyor in
Oh,
surveyor
no.
in Puerto Rico.
But
No.
but in the context, we're in Arizona, and in the state there is not a university that provides a 4-year surveying bachelor's degree.
There's not.
And you guys have
and you
two.
have to have
Yeah.
you need a bachelor's degree in Arizona
not,
to be.
no.
Not currently,
No.
but
No.
it's proposed that they are going to require that, even though the state doesn't offer that program,
Yeah.
which is kind of wild
It'd
for
be
us.
stupid if that happened.
Yeah. Let's just
I'm
get the kids interested and get them in there, and let's get going.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, what are some things you guys do to raise the awareness and advocate for
well-
surveyors?
We're visiting schools.
Yeah, I recently, I still haven't gotten around to answer that email, but I applied to become Get Kids into Survey ambassador. They sent me. I need to answer the email with all my info. I still haven't
Boss
gone
just
around.
heard that, by the way.
We're
Yeah,
going to hear about that later.
yeah, I know. I have to. But yeah, we visit schools as part of as the association and the Institute of Surveyors. They visit schools, and we've gone to a couple of schools and presented what surveying is, how cool it is, how amazing it is, and all
How
the
important
awesome.
it is.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
Essential. Really.
Yes, yes, and that's one of the ways that we visit schools and
From
we try
kindergarten to 12th
Yeah.
grade.
Yeah.
That's good.
Do you have like a structured presentation you do, or
Yeah.
Okay, because I know like Get Kids
Yes,
into
we do.
Survey has some really good resources that you can tap
Yeah.
into as well.
Yeah, they definitely do. That's one of the main reasons why I wanted to become a brand ambassador,
Yep.
because they have a lot of resources. We have a kind of a Spanish presentation that we made from our office, but we also, for example, I know she does too. We like to take the opportunity whenever someone asks us, like, oh, when they see us on the street or something, what are you doing? Are you surveying? Like, yes, I'm surveying. They say, do you have any questions, or what do you want to know something about surveying? Or maybe they come to you like, oh, maybe I think I need to have my property surveyed. And I said, yeah, just give us a call. We can answer all the questions, consultations, whatever you need. And that's also a way that we try to speak about the importance of surveying.
Yeah, and social media has been
Yeah.
very helpful too.
Oh yeah.
Because since I'm very vocal about how women in science in general, how we can thrive, it's very common for girls to send me a message and say, hey, I'm struggling to what I'm going to study, or I'm studying something that my parents told me to study and I don't like it.
Yeah.
What can I do? Do you have any recommendations? And it's fulfilling
Oh, yeah,
for me.
sure.
To become an example for
Yeah.
a young girl.
Yeah,
That's
a lot
so
of them
rewarding.
actually, a lot of them write her and thank her
Mm.
just for the fact that she is an inspiration to a lot of girls.
Yeah,
And
I'm sure. I'm sure. Yeah, kudos to you for that. I'm curious, is it like, I don't know, historically surveyors are not really good business people. And as a result, they tend to undercharge for their services. Do you guys struggle with that there? I mean, what's the competition like?
Yes, definitely. I think one of the difficulties that we encounter is with people who illegally perform surveying. And when I say legally, it's because they don't have a license. Because even if you have 10 years of experience, and even if you have a bachelor's degree in surveying, if you don't have your license, you're doing something illegal. It's punishable by law. And since they don't have a license, they charge less than we charge. Because I have so many things to pay. I have professional liability to pay. I have an office. I have a lot of my overhead is different from what they have.
Yeah.
So if an engineer needs to stake out a property or a building that they're going to build, and I say, well, I can charge you $650, and this person say, I'll do it for half.
Yeah.
Who do you think they're going to hire?
Even if they
So
don't have a
frustrating.
license.
Now, here in the United
So
States,
frustrating.
when you do a survey and you're going to record that information, they won't let you put that into the public domain without having checked your background, right, Kent? How does that work?
Unfortunately, no. I mean, in some states, like I can tell you, like for example, in California, like
Okay.
to get something recorded in California,
Yeah.
you got to jump through a lot of hoops to get it
Yeah.
recorded. Here in Arizona, unfortunately, it's not that bad. It's
Wow.
not like that. Yeah.
Well, not only that, you'll find stuff that was recorded that is just
Junk.
clearly not,
Junk.
Yeah.
not right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we don't have county surveyors review all the plats before they get recorded and stuff. Whereas in California, for example, like everything goes through a very extensive review process before it's even allowed to be recorded.
I was just doing a project in Tempe by ASU,
Yeah.
and the survey, this is a couple of years ago, and the surveyor had to go to the public records in the city of Tempe to find the records of starting points and twist points.
Sure.
And in order to get access to that, he had to have certain documentation. Maybe that was a city ordinance.
Might have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy,
And
that.
have some credentials or something to
That is-
access that information.
But again, once you record that, once you upload that information, that survey, other people are going to be working off of your monuments, right?
Yeah.
So you got to have it right.
Yeah, but it sounds like in
Yeah.
Puerto Rico, who manages or polices the quality
Yeah.
of the surveys?
Yeah.
Uh,
Who crosses the T's and dots the I's?
Who makes sure that people are doing things properly?
Oh my gosh.
Ruth does.
Ruth. Yeah, Ruth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there's a
She'd
law.
be good at it.
Right?
Yeah.
She
We're
would.
going to create a new job for Ruth.
But
Surveyor
there's
of
a
Puerto
law
Rico.
that says that
She
the-
was, actually.
I'm sorry, what?
She was.
I was what?
She's to this date, the first and only state surveyor.
No way.
Wow.
What?
Yep.
How, really?
She was.
How did that happen?
Yeah. Well,
Eh,
well, I was the director of the land surveyor's office in Puerto Rico. But then the new government came
2015, right?
2016.
16?
The new government came and they decided to, just for political reasons, they decided to shut down everything that the previous government established.
There was a change in
In the political party
in the party.
in charge, yeah.
You know,
So that I was removed from office, but they never chose somebody from their
Their party.
or
Interesting.
somebody that they liked.
and people
Politics.
don't understand this really affects the banking. It affects the economy when they don't have this stabilization, when they don't have those boundaries, when they don't have those records, when they don't build on each other's shoulders, then you get
Yep.
instability. It's
Yep.
very frustrating.
So there's a law that
right.
says that every professional is responsible for the job they do or for the work they do. So if I submit a plat to the government agency in charge of permits, there's nobody on the other side that's going to check if my job is being done correctly.
Mm.
Yeah. Cause,
If I
Interesting.
stamp it, it's my problem.
yeah, because the problem, the thing is that in a lot of these agencies where you submit your plats, there isn't a surveyor. They don't have a licensed surveyor. So even if they wanted to, they can't check your work.
So when you become a licensed surveyor properly, you get a registration number, right? It's assigned to you. But then you have these other non-licensed surveyors out there doing surveys. They're not setting property corners then, right? Or are they setting corners and not putting a cap on it?
That's the thing. We don't have monumentation. We are not obligated to monument to set boundary.
Okay.
Yeah.
You do it because it's the best practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we don't have any standards of practice that say you have to monument.
That's something actually the association and the institute is working towards.
But that these people that I've said that they work without a license, there is somebody that is signed in their plats.
Yeah.
There's someone that never went to the field and never checked their work and is just stamping those plats.
Wow.
Interesting.
Fuzzy.
Wow.
All right, so I gotta ask. You mentioned the hurricane coming in and that project. What's the most exciting or the most interesting kind of project you guys have worked on in the last few years that you really want to talk about? That's really kind of cool. And believe me, going to the archives and finding the plot from 18 whatever is pretty freaking cool. But can you give us any other examples?
I think.
Which one do you think is your favorite?
I think.
Because we have traveled the whole island.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, right.
From the mountains to the coast, and when you do a job and a couple of years later you see the new building or the new house or the new road, you're like, I was part of that.
Yes. Yeah. You're the essential part.
Right. What about the most complex, or which one had the most problems that you had to work through?
That's. I mean,
I know that's every single one.
They all have problems, but for me personally, I really love the whole research part of boundary surveying. You feel like a detective in some ways.
Yeah.
And I think the Aguadilla.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I think the survey in
Well, tell us about that.
There was
Well, we cannot get into every detail. It's confidential information.
We'd have to.
Don't use any
No.
names.
You know, you can gloss
We'd
over
have to
the
kill you.
details, and we'll sign an NDA.
There was a controversy with a road that has been historically used publicly for like 100 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Since the Spaniards were in the island.
Oh, right. Okay.
Since before this, we were invaded by the U.S. So a new developer came and bought some land, and
Right next to the said road.
Okay.
and there was this controversy if that road was public, if it was private land, if it was part of the railroad or the old railroad. And we were able to figure out the ownership and where it was supposed to be.
After many extensive hours of research.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. That was one where we really had to dig very, very deep.
And that's where history,
Performing interviews and everything.
Oh, that's cool.
and this is
That was real detective work.
right.
and the history of Puerto Rico is fascinating. I have a little bit of background in history, and I want to sincerely apologize what happened in 1897, I think it was.
98.
In 98, and the whole thing. I have actually a connection. I was born and raised in Prescott, and some of the Rough Riders that went with Theodore Roosevelt were from my hometown.
Huh.
And there's actually a huge monument to a guy named Bucky O'Neill who was killed as he was fighting in San Juan Hill.
Really?
So, yeah.
Oh, my
That's, I think that's in Cuba, but it was all part of the same.
That's
So-
crazy.
But guess what? I apologize, and hopefully that just solves the whole problem right there.
No
All
worries.
done, all gone.
No,
good.
it's all in the past.
Well, let's talk about the future. What are you guys excited about coming up in the next few years? I mean, where do you see the direction of the company? And talk a little bit about what the next 5 years looks like.
Hopefully, I can retire in 5 years.
Oh,
Right?
no,
I've been working since I'm 17. I'm exhausted.
no, no,
You
don't
can't get
leave me
burnt out
alone.
yet.
Ruben's
You
like,
can't-
no, way too early.
At least let Ruben get licensed.
Yeah, exactly. Right? You got to
No.
sign off on his paperwork first.
Yeah. No, for me, for example, personally, in 5 years, I hope I'm licensed in 5 years. That's the goal, to be licensed. Maybe the boss makes me a partner. I don't know.
Ah, nice.
Maybe if she's nice enough. But no, we're really looking forward to the whole beginning to work with a U.S. Army Corps of Engineers.
That's huge.
That's huge for us because here in Puerto Rico, I think there's only about one or two big firms that you can actually say they're big firms. All the other firms are mediums to small size, and there's just a lot of surveyors. That's just them and maybe one helper, and that they do their work, right? So there's not many surveying firms in the island. So for us to have that contract means that if we do a good job, obviously, which we will, since that's what we have Ruth for, it'll help us grow, and that's something we're looking forward to.
Yeah. And do you see a lot of opportunity for growth in Puerto Rico?
Yeah, definitely. These next 10 years are key because right now, since all the disasters, Hurricane Maria, there were some earthquakes down south, Hurricane Fiona, there's a lot of disaster relief funds coming in. So these next 10 years are really going to be key.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of work.
How do you
A lot of
guys?
reconstruction going on.
Yeah. How do you keep up with the advancement of technology? Like, what are the best resources? I mean, it's hard enough to keep up with what's happening. Whether it be the hardware, the software, what have you. But even seeing you guys, in Canada, at that conference was so cool. And there was some good presenters there. Obviously, talking about technologies, talking about a lot of different things. But what are some of the resources that you guys use?
Well, I mean, we kind of have everything. We have access to all the new technology. We use we don't use mobile lidar, but there are some firms in the island that use mobile lidar. They're using drone lidar, drone photogrammetry, 3D laser scanning, BIM, all of that. So we in the island we are keeping up with all of that technology. We're using Civil 3D or maybe Revit, Cyclone, all those new programs.
It's more expensive for us to
That's the
acquire
thing.
that technology.
That's the hard part.
Yep.
Since right now here in Puerto Rico, we don't charge the same as maybe in the States.
Sure.
So
Yeah, I
But the
remember
price is
when
the
we're
same.
gonna buy a robotic total station.
Yeah.
I remember that the sales lady, she said, because I said it's too expensive for us right now. At that moment, we couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
And she said, but with the first job, you
one or
will-
two
No.
jobs.
with the
No.
job you can get what you invested.
Right.
I'm like, how much do you think I charge for a boundary survey?
Oh man.
So
So you-
it,
you
it's
just- you
you
just
have
learn problems we
it's
have.
challenging in that
Yeah.
part,
Yeah.
but we do have access to all the technology
Yeah.
that you have in the States, and
Yeah.
and some firms here in Puerto Rico they have it because
Yeah.
they have been established longer than us.
Interesting. What else you got, Rex? Anything else?
I just think this is so fascinating, especially we have this connection with Puerto Rico. We've got the history, and we have all of the funding. You've got FHA funding for any real estate transactions there, just like if you were in Arizona. You've got the title companies for title insurance. You've got a county recorders, yes? How do you guys do the recordation? Is it one recorder? Is one recorder per county? How do you guys do that? Because 78 counties. Where do you guys go to record something?
You go to the property registry.
Yeah.
Okay,
They
so
have
it's
like
like a
7
recorder's
regions.
office.
I remember the exact amount.
Are there 78 different recording offices, or how many?
No. No.
Okay.
It's one per region.
One per region. Okay, that's good.
That's
to
right.
know.
And
That's good.
how many regions?
It's about 7 or 8,
Okay,
I think,
okay.
on the
Mhm.
island.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that cleared that up.
But most of them are not up to date with registering the property.
Okay, so now this is where I'm going with this. If you want bank financing and they can get title insurance, if you want the cha-ching, the cash to come, it's there. But the surveys and the legal descriptions and the public records have to be accessible and honest and enforceable. That's another thing. The beauty of surveying and having property boundaries is you have an element of security called trespass. And when you own property, you have a right and you have a responsibility. Every time you have a right, I want to hear the responsibility. The right is
Exactly.
nobody steps across your property because that's a criminal trespass. That's what it is. Number two, the responsibility is to pay the daggum taxes.
Yeah.
Pay the property taxes because they're going to pay the police officer that you're going to call and say, this guy's breaking into my house. And now you've got a society. The property taxes pay for paving of those roads. The property taxes pay for the sewer, the water.
All the infrastructure.
It is
Yep.
the key. And guess what? If you can have accurate legal descriptions that people can trust, you're going to get foreign investors to come in and buy property. And when they do that, they pay cash, they start building, and guess what? They help pay those property
And guess
taxes.
what? Then they start paying more for surveys.
That's right, because now you've got a demand. And so we got to put this on the burner for all of the bankers, all of the title insurance. They got the money, guys.
Yeah.
They got
Yeah.
the money. If they understand that these people are the key, then we can get them the money that they deserve. That's what we got to do.
100%. 100%. So, Ruth, Ruben, anything else that
Yeah,
you
what
wanna
else do you want to get out there?
get out there that we haven't talked about? I've really enjoyed this conversation, by the way.
I mean,
When are you gonna come to Puerto Rico to visit?
that's
Hey,
a,
all
that's
we
a
need-
nice
all
question.
Waiting
we
for an
need is
invite.
an invitation.
Waiting for an invite.
That's all
we
we
can
need.
travel. All this can pack up in a nice little suitcase, and we can be there as long as we need to.
Yep, just let us
Right
know.
now it's very warm.
Is it?
Right now it's very hot. It's very
Not
hot.
like-
Guess what?
Not like Arizona.
We're going to hit 116.
116,
116 tomorrow.
But that's actual.
112, I think, a couple of weeks
Wait,
ago.
that's
my
wait,
gosh.
116. That's actual temperature, or that's how it feels.
No, that's actual temperature.
Yeah.
So it feels like
Oh, no, no, no,
130.
Well, no, we don't have any humidity, so it's
Oh.
It feels like
yeah, it's about
170.
3% humidity because it hasn't rained in 147 days.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
We have a lot of humidity.
Yeah, so
We just
there's-
step out of the shower and you're already sweating.
Yeah, I know what that feels like.
Yeah, well, I've never been to Puerto Rico, and I want to go to
Let's
Puerto
do it.
Rico.
Oh,
I
yeah.
hear
You
it's
should.
absolutely
Anytime.
We could
Absolutely.
get a
Should.
travel show and get a camera out there, people surveying, and
Yeah,
educate
on
them,
it.
get the
How, you
drone.
know how many times I've thought about that?
We're working
Just
on
have
it.
like this traveling show where you like go around and interview surveyors from all over the world.
That's a great idea.
Oh,
and get
wow.
the drone stuff and shoot
Yeah.
stuff, and get people to
Totally
invest.
doable.
What we need is capital investment. We can do this
Mhm.
because I used to be a mortgage banker,
Yeah,
and
then-
I know they've got the money.
Yep.
And I used to be in title insurance, and I know they got
You
the
know
money.
they got the money. Yeah.
So we'll get them to sponsor it. We'll do it.
All right, guys, so I got
Oh,
one
wait,
last
wait.
question that I always ask everybody. You guys ready? Do you have
Okay.
a mantra that you live by?
Oh well, she has a couple.
I do have
We
a
always
couple.
tease her in the office.
Aw.
She's always, you gotta write everything I say down. That's one of them.
That's good.
That's not a
Yeah.
mantra.
That's it.
I like
love
it.
Because they think they have a memory of, I don't know.
Privilege. Yeah, she says, "Oh, you have a privileged memory."
That's not a mantra,
to
though.
write
That's
things down.
direction.
No, that makes it. If I say it, write it down.
Those are words
Yep.
to live by. I can tell you
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. How
No,
about
but
you,
I
Ruben?
like to live by. Well, I like to keep things more relaxed. I guess I'm the more relaxed one in the house.
See that.
Yeah. I like to say like if you can't I forget how it goes in English because I know it in Spanish. I'm sorry, this language barrier, right?
Say it in
But-
Spanish. Say it in Spanish.
I'm gonna say it in English. Okay, so if you can't fix it, don't worry about it.
Only
If you can fix it, why worry about it?
Only
Yeah, I love
That's it.
that. Yes, yes.
That's it.
Only worry about what you can control.
There
Yep.
you go.
Right?
Yeah,
Same
I
thing.
love it.
and in reality, what can you control?
Well,
So,
That's true.
So true. So you shouldn't worry about anything.
well,
Yeah.
Only the stuff that you can fix.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah. Good stuff. We'll add it to the list.
Yeah.
It's a keeper.
But
Absolutely.
hey, guys, remember next year, March,
Yeah.
Puerto Rican International Surveying Congress. You guys are invited.
We are.
we go.
Hey,
Roadshow.
careful what you wish for.
Roadshow. I can feel it coming.
We got to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
I love it.
Count us
We'll
in for
prepare
that.
the guest room for you.
Oh,
Per diem and set up.
done.
Love it.
Oh, man. Well, thank you guys so much. This has been such a great conversation. I'm so glad we were able to make this happen. And Rex, thanks for being here.
Thank you, guys.
It's been great.
Appreciate you letting me sit in.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
All right. Are we ready?
We're ready.
Oh, you're waiting on me?
Yeah.
Are we in
You know,
music?
like usual, we got you got to take us out.
All right. I think I got it.
The music is
Ooh,
always the
there we
important
go.
part.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
There you go.
Rock on, man.
All right.
Good to meet you guys.
Thanks again, guys. It's been great. All right.
It's been great.
Anybody listening, if you want to be a guest on a future show, shoot us an email at info@thegeoholics.com. You get extra special treatment if you invite us to your homeland, like Puerto Rico.
Oh, yeah. There
Like,
you go.
Hey, you're coming to Puerto Rico. You're a guest on the show.
And you put us up.
We're waiting.
Oh,
You put
even
us up.
better.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But other than that, Disturbed, Down with the Sickness, available everywhere. I don't have my show notes, so I am flying blind right now.
I would say if you can fix it, fix it. If you can't,
Don't worry
don't worry
about
about it.
it.
Don't worry about
And
it.
write everything down that I
Yeah.
said.
Write everything down that Ruth says.
Yeah.
Until next time, everybody, be safe and healthy. Perfect.
I want to definitely reach out to you guys.
Go out. Do you have our email?
Yeah, we'll make connection.
Yeah. I'll pass
Yeah.
your contact info on to Rex.
I'm so
I
excited
want to
about
apologize.
Good
I
job,
have
guys.
problems
That was
with my
awesome.
accent
No,
because when I
no,
when
no.
I
She's
heard
always-
myself,
It was so
She's
cute.
always very.
I kind of got
You guys did
confused
so
hearing
good.
myself.
this. Yeah, no, you
talking.
did great. You
Oh.
did fantastic.
That's why I had to repeat,
No,
and
no,
I
you're
kept
fine.
removing
No.
the side of the headset.
No, you guys, you both did.
My English is
amazing.
not
It
that
was
very
awesome.
good. Look,
I'm telling you,
'cause-
you guys did awesome.
And you know
She's
what?
always worried about her accent. I was saying, like, you know how many international people have been on the Geoholics?
Yes. No,
Modern Family. What's
absolutely
that?
phenomenal.
What's that actress? Modern Family. Everybody loves that.
yeah, the
accent.
Colombian
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah, Sofia Vergara.
And you
Yeah,
guys,
yeah, yeah.
I got to say, you two are adorable.
Yes.
Absolutely adorable.
You could. Actress right here.
It's like I want to come to Puerto Rico and work with you guys.
No,
Right?
you should.
Yes.
You should. You should. And
Well, now we got
all
the
three of
invite.
you.
Is your company for sale by chance?
No,
Oh, no.
She says straight up, no.
that was a hard no.
That was a hard no.
not yet.
Not yet. Not yet. Not yet.
But maybe a merger in the future.
yeah.
Call us in a couple of years, maybe.
They got
We'll
to
see
milk
how
the
much
rest
it
of
She
the
said
Army Corps
5.
contract first.
She said 5, so
I
Yeah.
want to retire.
she said 5, so
5 years.
I don't know.
All right.
I'm not the boss.
I'm going to put it on the calendar. But seriously, I know we talked about coming out there in March next year, and we would love to make that happen.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be
We
so
can
much
do it.
fun.
What can we do to help make it happen? Because honestly, that would be awesome.
Yeah. So we would when we go to events like that. It's like Sean and I will set up. We'll bring the studio basically with us. So we would need like a booth to set up in, and then what we do is we just do random interviews with people that are attending the event, which works out really really well. And then we'll stitch all those interviews together and make make a podcast or two, depending on how many interviews we get that highlight the event. Yeah. So it's kind of
Kind of like what you did in Canada, right?
yeah, just on a bigger scale. Yep. But yes,
Okay.
exactly.
That
same
will be
type
no
of-
problem to get you a booth.
But since
Yeah.
it's not Canada, I'll
Or Canada.
since it's not really cold, I'll come too.
Yeah. yeah. No, that wasn't
I don't
Canada
know.
was beautiful, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was so awesome.
It was my first time. It was like the fourth time for you.
Oh, really?
It was like third time, second in Montreal.
Wow.
But the Mont Tremblant was
Oh, so
amazing.
beautiful. It was so
Yeah.
beautiful. I got back and I told my family, like, we just got to plan like a family trip to go up there. It was awesome. Loved it.
Very beautiful.
March
And
is-
people are so nice.
The weather in March is actually pretty nice here. It's not that hot.
Really?
It's not.
Yeah.
We don't get cold weather ever.
I'm
so
not worried about the hot.
No.
we don't get. We don't get cold weather ever.
Ever. Yeah, but the thing we can
Except
do
in the
about-
mountains.
Yeah.
In the winter time, the mountains, it could drop to 40 something Fahrenheit.
Oh, wow.
You know how good that sounds right now?
Yeah, it really.
Yeah.
I would kill to be in 40-degree weather. Right now.
Exactly.
So would I.
And you got beaches, lots of beaches, right?
Yes.
Why
Yeah.
don't you invest in Puerto Rico?
That's
Why don't
right.
you
See,
buy a
this-
farm in
maybe.
the mountain?
We can survey it.
We need some advisors. We need investment advisors. That's what we need.
I mean, I'll take 40 degrees Celsius right now.
Yeah.
No, but actually, I wanted to say something about what Rex said. We're actually seeing an influx of people from the States, investors coming to the island right now.
Yeah.
Charge them triple.
Yeah, and that's the key. Seriously, there's no reason why Puerto Rico shouldn't look even better and more prosperous than Hawaii.
I knew you were going to say that. Yes. Right.
It's
Yes.
the East Coast Hawaii.
But does Puerto Rico want that?
Yeah, that's the question. Do you guys? Does
I
the
was going to
economy?
say that some people in Puerto Rico, they don't like how many Americans come
Yeah.
to the island and buy properties
I-
because the prices have gone
Up,
higher.
up and up and up.
Yeah.
and then the people
But
from the
that's-
island cannot afford some properties
Yeah.
that
But
they
then,
That's just inflation.
then
Yeah.
the economy, as far as getting revenue to buy food and to pay for utilities, it's a love-hate relationship. It's a
Exactly.
tough
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Right now,
people
the-
have to want it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The minimum wage actually right now this year went up 2 times.
Okay. To what?
It was 7.25. It went up to 8.50, and 1st of July, 13 days ago,
Yep.
it went up to 9.50, and then in the 1st of July of next year, it's going to go up 10.50.
So how does it affect you guys as business owners?
a lot.
It affects us a lot,
Yeah,
honestly,
your
because
costs went up.
our costs. I was actually working on that yesterday, trying to figure out like what percentage do we have to raise our costs up,
Yep.
because we have to pay everyone.
Because we're a new small firm.
Yeah.
But that's why
And so
contracts
the-
like that Army Corps of Engineer contract, that is
Yeah.
so key for you guys.
Yeah.
Yes, because with those contracts, I'm obligated to pay them based
Yep.
on the Biden executive order,
Mhm.
Yeah.
where the minimum wage is $15 an hour.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that means we all
It's a
earn
win-win.
more money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
everyone's happy.
Yep.
that's why we want to do more for the work.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And let me mention a
we
little bit
can
about
earn
foreign
more money.
investment here in Arizona. You guys aren't old enough to remember this, but we had a crash back in the 1980s. I know because I was a home builder and I lost a ton of money. But guess what? When all those properties went into foreclosure, it was the 1980s and Japan was booming. And we had Japanese investors come all the way from Japan buying up real estate in Arizona and California
Because it was so cheap.
that crashed. And guess what? Their dollars paid to renovate all this stuff that just got foreclosed on. And we had subdivisions, we had golf courses were dormant and they were dying. And it was the Japanese money that got it finished. And
Yeah.
guess what? After
Yeah.
10 years, they were gone. And
But I
didn't
bet-
see it that way.
So
But I'm willing to
interesting.
bet that a lot of people, they didn't want them coming in,
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because
Oh,
they didn't.
that's
They
my point.
they don't
I'm
see
sorry,
the big
that-
picture.
That was my point. I had subcontractors screaming that the bosses that we were working with were Japanese. They were screaming about
Yeah.
it. I was in California. I'm licensed in both states. We went into a golf course in Valencia, California, and it was the Valencia golf course, and they had this wall, and it says owner's wall,
Oh, geez.
all Japanese photos.
Really?
Owner's wall. All Japanese. But guess what? That subdivision and that whole golf course would have died if it weren't for their money. And people got to understand that. It's a win-win. And guess
It's a
what?
win-win.
Guess
Yep.
what?
Yep.
Valencia Golf Course, they're not there anymore.
Yep.
Those Japanese owners are gone.
Yeah.
They sold.
Yep.
I'd be curious, like in Puerto Rico, when people that are born there, do they typically stay there, or is there like a generation of people that are like, I'm getting out, I'm going to the mainland, whatever, I mean, what does the demographic look like?
It depends on the time frame that we're talking about.
Yeah.
When things get bad, a lot of people leave to the States because
Yeah.
it's so easy. Since we're U.S. citizens
Yeah.
since the day we were born,
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
just buy a plane ticket and you choose a state and you leave.
Yep. Yeah.
So between 2008 and after Maria, the Hurricane Maria, hundreds of thousands of
yeah.
people fled to the States.
After Maria, it really got people really started leaving, like on the thousands, and that's why right now we're seeing so many investors, foreign investors. It's not foreign investors when they come from the States, because I mean,
Sure.
Yeah.
but people see them as foreign
Sure.
because they're not Puerto Rican, right?
Right.
And a lot of people aren't very happy. But you can't have all these properties that aren't paying property taxes, because
So it
It's
all
a-
depends.
it's
When
a-
things are not that bad, people stay.
yeah,
And
Some of
land,
them
'Cause-
come back.
and land.
a lot of go ahead.
Land that's not developed is a dormant asset. It's sitting there. Nobody's making any money. There's no revenue. There's no property
It's
taxes.
not generating
It's
anything.
dead.
Yep.
And that's how
Yeah.
developing countries live. They got a ton of land and no development.
And
Yeah.
we have a very aging population.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was my next
Our
question.
median age
That was
is
exactly my
higher
next question.
than in
Yep.
the States.
And what does
So-
what is the industry that drives Puerto Rico? What is like? Are there new,
Tourism.
Are there new plants?
No, it's not
being-
tourism.
Not anymore, but it
It's
used to be tourism.
Manufacturing.
Right now,
So
oh,
there's
yeah.
new plants being built. Okay.
Actually,
It's manufacturing. People think it's tourism, but it's
That's
not.
the thing.
It's
Right
manufacturing.
now, things are a bit stagnant in a way, because back a couple of years back, we really had the manufacturing industry was really booming. Then one of the governors, he passed a law that a lot of those, especially pharmaceutical companies, they left.
We still have
But we
Many.
still have a lot of them still in the island, and that's a big part of the
many
island.
important medications that they
Yeah.
use worldwide
Yeah.
are built here.
Tylenol, there's a Johnson Johnson manufacturing.
back in this,
It's all Tylenol.
yeah, I listened to a podcast about the 1960s, and it was actually during the JFK administration. They tried very hard to invest in the 60s in Puerto Rico because there was
Yeah.
the struggle with Cuba and communism, and they were so close. So they put a lot of money into it, and they gave.
I say those are the golden years of Puerto
Yeah,
Rico.
and they did these little
Oh, wow.
subdivisions where they did craft homes, old.
Really?
In fact, we have some of them here in Arizona, 1960s subdivisions. I find them every once in a while. Anyway,
Yeah.
they got those Frank Lloyd Wright
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
roofs,
yeah.
weird roofs.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a bunch of that, and they try to put industry in there, and they try to give them discounts, and they try to give them incentives, but slowly but surely, it just kind of petered out. And so it's got to be. I'm sorry, but it's got to be like Hawaii. Hawaii is and even Hawaii struggles too.
Yeah.
The natives of Hawaii, they have land, but they don't.
Yeah, but the cost of living in Hawaii is through the roof.
I know it's an island.
And it
Here
sounds like the
too.
cost. Wait, what's the cost of living?
It's going
in
up.
Puerto Rico.
Our electricity, it's 28 cents per kilowatt.
No, it's
No?
like 25, 26. It's going up
For electricity.
per
Uh-huh.
kilowatt. It's
Kilowatt.
going up.
When I used to live in Texas, it was like 10, 11 cents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here it's like 25.
Right now,
Texas is
I
weird.
think
That's where all the energy is made.
Yeah.
So like, that's where the oil is
Well,
made. So
we're about 10 cents here.
10 cents here?
10 to
Yeah.
12.
But that's interesting you
But-
say that though. Is there
The-
any opportunity for, maybe it's happening, renewable energy type projects to be taking
that's
place
the
in Puerto
thing,
Rico?
right?
There's a lot of solar energy now.
A lot of startups, solar energy startups right now. That industry is booming right now. Because, right, the Electric Power Authority, it used to be owned by the state. It was just the Public Electric Power Authority, right? Puerto Rico Electric Power Authority, it was called. It still exists, but it exists as an administrator of the properties.
Of the
Right.
generation
Of the
of energy.
Not anymore, because
Oh,
on
right.
the 1st of July, we have Luma now. Luma administrates all of the distribution and transmission, right?
It's a private company.
Yeah, it's a private company for the whole island. And now Genera Puerto Rico, is the one in charge of the generation. So it's all private right now in the island. And it's just one company in charge of generation and one company in charge of transmission and distribution.
Monopoly.
Yeah. What about
But
agriculture? What does
that's
that look
recent.
like?
I mean,
Do you guys grow?
Oh.
What do you
What?
grow?
you mean agriculture?
We
Yeah,
grow a
yeah.
lot of plantains,
Plantains,
coffee.
marijuana.
Many years alone,
Uh,
a long
It's
time
legal,
ago,
guys.
far
Come
away.
on.
it's
We used to
medicinal.
produce a lot of
We can't
our.
import that anymore because we can grow it down the street.
Yeah, that's right.
No, here in Puerto Rico, it's not legalized, but medicinal marijuana is
Yeah.
Okay.
is legalized.
We only produce like 5% of the produce that we eat.
Do you have
Everything
everything
else
else
is
comes in?
imported.
But
Which is crazy.
But do you have the soil? Do you have the land? Do you have the geography
Yeah.
for growing? You do.
Yeah.
How interesting.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
We used to be
used-
great producers, but
Wow.
then with the booming of the construction industry,
You lost
it's
the
like
workers.
that they want to build buildings and houses everywhere.
Cement, they just
Wow.
planted cement everywhere.
Wow.
Nobody wants to conserve land to produce.
And the thing is, the hurricanes affects a lot of the
Yeah.
agriculture here in the island. Before Maria, Puerto Rico used to be a big coffee producer. After Maria, we struggled.
Oh,
So even a lot of
Wow, yeah.
a lot of the coffee in the bag, it used to say, "Oh, made in Puerto Rico."
That's right.
Yeah.
It was not 100. After Maria, the bags would say, "This percent is from Puerto Rico. This percent is from this other country."
Wow, interesting.
But
I didn't know
that's also because they don't have people to work.
That's another part. There's so many
Yeah.
people left,
Yes.
and a lot of people also died. And in Maria, it's
You
like
guys have rum, though. They got rum.
Do you guys do rum?
Mhm.
Bacardi.
Okay.
Yeah,
Bacardi.
Bacardi
Yeah,
rum.
that's right. Now, real quick question: if they start doing solar fields with solar panels, you
Mhm.
have to have a survey. You have to have boundaries.
Yeah.
You have to have a legal description. You have to be able to put up fences.
Rex needs to be
Man, this ticks me off.
the national survey
This-
or advocate.
Everybody
doesn't he?
needs
This
to.
guy,
Everybody needs to understand that. If
he gets it.
I'm telling you though, if you keep coming back to taxes though, you're gonna lose about half the surveyors.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
People do not want to pay taxes,
yeah,
do they?
they're like, no.
You know what?
They love surveying, but not if it means
I
I'm
had
paying
that
taxes.
conversation with somebody that we were down in Boca Raton. We were in Mexico years ago, and I had this conversation with somebody. They said, "These people down here do not want anything public."
Yep.
But
All
guess
the stuff
what?
you talked about sounds bad for them. 'Cause
Guess what? Look what Mexico is. I mean, seriously, guys, we can't have a society. We can't live next to each other if we don't know who the neighbor is and if they're paying their property taxes. And there's got to be liability. See, that's another thing. If you break the law, and this is part of my speech, is when Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence, he said life, liberty, and property. That was the original word, life, liberty, and he crossed out property and wrote happiness. Now, property
That's
meant
why.
property meant real
That's
estate.
why we're the second oldest profession. Right? That's why.
That's right, surveyors. But the point was that if you have somebody break the law, they could lose their life if they murder somebody, their liberty if they go to jail, and their property. And if you don't have a legal description, you can't assess the liability.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's the basis of society. Anyway, I gotta get off my soapbox here, guys. It was so nice meeting you.
It was great. It was great.
Likewise.
So let's keep in touch, and
Yes.
let's keep March on the radar for us all.
Yep.
And when you guys start to finalize plans and stuff like that for that event, I mean, pass them our way, and we can promote that on the podcast.
Yeah.
as
We'd be
well.
happy to.
All right.
Yeah, I'll talk to the board because they already signed the contract for the venue
Oh.
and everything.
Good.
So I'll tell them about the opportunity to bring the podcast
Yeah.
to the event.
Be awesome, for sure.
Yeah, we can even live stream it and promote that. And
Yeah.
do- yeah.
Yeah, because what we
That
try to
would be
do,
amazing.
I mean, over the last couple of years, we've got a lot more opportunities to travel and go to these events and conferences and stuff like that. So the sooner we can get these solidified on our calendar, the better off
Yes.
we are. So,
Okay.
All
Hey
right.
guys, it's been a real
I'll
pleasure.
make sure you
Thanks for
receive a
everything.
formal invitation.
you guys are awesome. Thank you
Yep.
so much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you
See
guys
y'all.
for the opportunity.
Yes.
Take care.